Hello, Serge here for the Backyard Driving Range. This question comes in and it didn't have a name put to it. And it actually has two questions. First one, I was under the impression that the knees were supposed to be still during the back BUS, back upswing. In the video, your left knee appears to move forward a noticeable amount in your BUS. Should the knees remain still or is flexing expected? Relatively still. I'll explain that. Are the shoulders supposed to remain parallel to the aiming line until after impact, or should they turn into the shot before impact? By this I mean that the shoulders rotate to face the target all together with the swing prior to impact. Obviously the shoulders don't complete the turn to the target until after impact. Are they expected to be turned something like 20 degrees toward the target at impact? Okay. Let me read that again. By this I mean that the shoulders rotate to face the target together with the swing prior to impact. I don't think that could possibly happen. If I'm reading that right, the impact is there in the net. He's saying that they rotate to square the impact before impact. I mean square to the target before impact. To face the target together with the swing prior to impact. No, they can't. There's no way they can get prior to impact. But then you go on and say, obviously the shoulders don't complete the turn to the target until after impact. So it almost seems like a contradiction. So irrelevant of what's being said here, I'm going to explain where they should be from the top of the backswing to at impact, and where the shoulders should be in the forward, when the club's in the forward catcher's mitt, and where they are at impact at the finish. Okay? But let's start by talking about the knees. If you go into the foundations manual anywhere, I say the key to setup position is wide knees, outward pressure. That means I get the knees, wide knees would be knees over the ankles, hips and shoulders in line. The peak performance stance is much narrower than most stances. What most people would say is a 5-iron is what we use for a driver. The outward pressure means I just sit here I just get a little bit of pressure and create the knee and up through my inner thighs and into my hips. That I want a little bit of stretch there. I don't want to stretch it as much with it while I'll be pulling the feet off the ground like this, and the insides of my feet will come on the ground. You're always flat on the ground. Dead center, just like as if you were playing shortstop or you're there waiting for a serve, all right? Or you're outside linebacker looking at the wide receiver. You're in here like this. You're not flat on your heels. You're not on your toes, and you don't have your weight anywhere. It's right here, so you can move either way, and that's what happens in a golf swing. So it's the athletically ready position. Now the outward pressure is what? We don't want to move the knees very much. The less, the better. But they do move a little bit. Okay? The wide pressure. Why? Why do we have the outward pressure? Well, because everybody told you that you wanted to make a 90-degree or more turn and get the club to parallel, and the only way most people can do this is to lift the foot and kick the knee in. Well, since we have a limited turn 3/4 swing and we don't want to turn too far and we don't want to go to parallel, we're going to basically shut down the one thing that gives you all that extra motion. And when your knees are moving too much, you certainly can't keep your knees level. And if you can't keep your knees level, how are you going to keep your hips, your spine, and your shoulders and your head level to be able to return the club back to where it's supposed to be? So to keep the knees relatively level, we have to maintain quietness. That quietness is to restrict the backswing with the left knee. And I always write down, wide knees, outward pressure. Resist the left knee movement. It has to move a little bit based on your muscles, tendons, and ligaments, how much they push it. But so it's okay for the knee to move an inch or so. But anything more than about 2 inches is too much. And how do you test it? Just stand here, look down at your knee, and just move your knee. Looking at your knee, just move your knee and feel the connection of your leg into your hip socket, and how much can you move your knee before you start to see what? You start to feel the knee movement pulling your left hip downward. That's it. And for most people, they're going to get about 1 or 2 inches. From my vision from here, when I move mine even this much, that's about the most I want. Every now and then I might let it go a little bit over here. It might happen. I'm on this really down slope, but I'm trying to really make sure I stay still here. But as you notice, if you listen, I hit the ball pretty darn solid no matter what it moves, because it's still usually never ever moving too much. But 1-2 inches max. Once you can't do it. Now again, let's look at the movement of the knee itself. If I only move it 1 or 2 inches, but how much it is for you is when you feel, how much can you look at it, and when you feel it's starting to pull yourself down, and I can still see my shadow right there, my head's going down, that means I'm going into reverse tilt. That's too much. So outward pressure, resist, all right? That way, if you never leave it, as soon as you move forward, you're already there. But if you got a big knee like this, I see people, by the time they get their foot down and their knee back over it, they're down to here somewhere in their downswing. Before they, we could say, posted, so you can start, as you're swinging through, you can stand up. If you never leave it, boom, you're going to get there a lot quicker. That's why the stance is narrower. So again, I could move it like this, or I could move it like that. They both didn't go very far, but I think you can see that the slower one, that's more controlled and more tight and more staying connected to everything and staying firm and controlled, as compared to this, that's very, very herky-jerky a little bit. That's not good. So even though if we keep it quite quiet, we want it to be quiet in the sense it's not going to be herky-jerky or whatever. All right? Second part of the question was the shoulders. If we stand here, here is my aiming line, all right, to the target. All right? Here's my shoulders, parallel left. I'm going to swing back to the toe line and up. So I have not taken a full turn, all right? So if I get here, notice I have not taken anywhere near a full turn. If I got this pretty much at the target, 90-degree turn would have my shoulders looking down over here. That's 90. I'm only over here, okay, over the toe line. It's 70 degrees. So I'm back to 70 degrees right here. I bump, I come down. At impact, I will pretty much be, when I bump, the bump is a lateral left shift, and then it starts turning. So the toes, the knees and the toes will be square because I land sort of square, but the knees and the hips might be a little bit left. But optimally, the only way you can be at impact where the hands come down straight with a perfectly 2P grip and have the club face square at impact is the shoulders have to be square at impact. All right? So from this position, once I'm square at impact, all right, and now I'm going to be swinging my arms down, now they start to open up. So by the time I get into the forward catcher's mitt, I'm pretty close to dead square to the target now, and then I square up, and I might even be a little bit left because we're coming up on an inclined plane, and that's why we recoil and relax to pull us back square to the target, which when I got two lines down here acting as my toe line and my aiming line, if I do all of that, basically I am swinging. I'll do the left arm from here to there. They're both square at impact here, and then when I go through to here, they come up and they come back down in front, and as you can see, I'm pretty much square here, but I got a little tilt in here, so when I stand up, see, finish, and recoil and relax, if I go a little bit left, which is very likely can happen because I'm going up this inclined plane, so that's the whole concept of the recoil and relax. It pulls us back and it keeps us, as long as you can pretty much keep the arms and the club inside these two lines, which I call the aiming alley. You keep them in the aiming alley, all right? I mean, sure, the club head's going to get out of a little bit, the shaft of the club head will, but as I said, if you can keep the shaft or at least the hand somewhere in here, just like tossing a ball underhanded, you're going to hit the ball relatively solid straight, right where you want it to go, provided you have good alignment and you're making the swing. All right, so hopefully this clears up the question about the knees. I always write it. Resist movement. Resist. You can let some happen, but you can't let it go down and break. And as long as it's firm and controlled, that's good. You don't want to get wobbly or kind of like sporadic when it moves, spastic. Okay? And I think we covered the shoulders very well. All right? How they move to impact. Square at impact. Hips and knees might be slightly open at impact, but the shoulders have to be square to return the club with the square hands back to impact. Square, both hands and clubs face square to the target. Hit it solid straight, actually longer, and with good alignment, shooting it where it's supposed to go, and shoot those lower scores. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be talking with you all again soon.